So, if your life lately has felt like a room with a terribly low ceiling, or if you've been hitting this wall of just absolute exhaustion every time you try to move forward, you are definitely going to want to pay very close attention to the dates we are dissecting today.
Oh, absolutely. It is a heavy week.
Right, because we're looking at August 3rd through the 9th, 2026. Welcome to this Deep Dive, by the way. Today, we're exploring a week where the cosmos is, quite frankly, aggressively clearing the decks for an impending solar eclipse.
Yeah, and when we say aggressively clearing, I mean, we really mean it. Think about initiating this massive home renovation. You have that gorgeous, idealized living room in your head, but to get there, you have to tear up the rotted floorboards
Well, which
first.
is the worst part.
And it is. It's loud, it's deeply chaotic, and, halfway through, you're usually standing in this pile of literal rubble, wondering why you didn't just leave well enough alone.
Exactly. And that messy, rubble-filled phase, that's our focal point for you listening today. But, we aren't just reading transit charts here. To decode the week, our source material from Tarot by HAC provides this incredible allegorical StoryScope.
I love this story so much.
It's so good. It's a fable about a woman named Mara, a mysterious, unfinished bridge appearing out of nowhere, and honestly, the crushing weight of the emotional baggage we all drag around.
Yeah, and this fable, it serves as the perfect lens for understanding the celestial mechanics at play here. Because before you can build that new foundation, before you can enjoy the renovated house, basically you have to survive the wild card energy that kicks off the week.
And that wild card energy is heavily, heavily driven by Mars, right? And we are heading into eclipse season, which inherently brings that sort of faded, rapid-fire course correction vibe anyway.
Oh, yeah. Eclipses don't mess around.
They really don't. But layering Mars on top of it, specifically going out of bounds from August 3rd to the 28th, it just turns up the volume to an incredibly uncomfortable level.
It really does. And for those tracking the astronomical mechanics of this, a planet going out of bounds means it has traveled beyond the ecliptic plane of the sun.
Wait, explain that a bit more, like physically.
Yeah, physically. Specifically, its declination exceeds 23 degrees and 27 minutes north or south of the celestial equator. So when a planet moves outside the sun's apparent path like this, it literally breaks the normal rules of engagement.
Wow, so it's just out there on its own.
Exactly. It operates entirely without supervision or planetary guardrails. It's off the leash.
Okay, so we're looking at a period where people are going to be acting with, like, shocking independence. I mean, you'll see incredible courage from some, but also a massive spike in impulsivity, ego, and just outright aggression from others. It's the definition of unpredictability.
Which honestly mirrors the opening of Mara's story flawlessly. So in the fable, in a place called the Valley of Ash, this massive stone bridge just appears overnight.
Just out of nowhere.
Right out of nowhere. It stretches halfway across a huge chasm and simply stops in midair. And the only instruction is a wooden sign reading, "Continue building."
That's wild.
Right. There's no architect, there are no blueprints, and there's absolutely no guarantee the other side even exists.
Naturally, most people in the valley mock it. I mean, they call it a bridge to nowhere and they just abandon it.
Yeah.
But a few people stay, and that includes Mara. And this is fascinating because the text explicitly notes she has lived her entire life governed by quiet fear.
Yeah, she's not a risk taker.
Not at all. She never spends more than necessary, never trusts quickly, and she calls herself sensible. She has essentially built a tiny, fortified bunker around her past trauma to ensure she never gets hurt again.
And, I mean, living inside that bunker is a profoundly human response to past pain. We all do it to some extent. But the cosmos, especially with Mars operating out of bounds right now, is demanding we step out of it.
Okay, but I have to push back here on behalf of everyone listening who is already exhausted.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
When you have Mars acting like an unhinged wild card, and life throws an unpredictable, massive undertaking at you, like this literal unfinished bridge protecting your peace feels like the smartest move. I mean, why lean into the chaos when the bunker is safe?
Well, because the bunker is an illusion of safety?
Is it, though?
It really is. Arranging your life around the fear of being wounded again, it takes an immense amount of energy. It keeps you totally stagnant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So the out-of-bounds Mars energy, it isn't asking you to be reckless. It's forcing you to realize that playing it safe is actually a trauma response masquerading as wisdom. This week is really about confronting the exact things keeping you small.
And confronting those things gets incredibly literal at the bridge. Because before they can add to the structure, the workers have to dig into the earth. And they start unearthing these strange, massive stones inscribed with phrases like, Mine, not enough, earn it, and stay small.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? Phrases Mara knows intimately because she's obeyed them for decades.
And then an elderly mason on the site stops the workers from using these stones as a foundation. He tells them these are anchors that have outlived their usefulness, and he basically instructs everyone to just smash them into dust.
I love that part. One woman shatters her stone, sees it's filled with nothing but dust, and just laughs, realizing she hauled that dead weight around for 30 years.
Yeah.
And, this entire unearthing process is the allegorical twin to Chiron going retrograde in Taurus, which is a massive transit stretching from August 3rd all the way to January 6th.
Yeah, Chiron retrograde in Taurus is huge because when Chiron retrogrades through Taurus, the mechanics of our earthly attachments are basically put under a microscope.
Right, because Taurus is all about the physical.
Exactly. Taurus governs the physical, tangible world. So our bank accounts, our bodies, the food we eat, and our deepest sense of material security.
So it hits where it hurts.
It really does. Chiron's retrograde motion pulls the planetary focus inward and backward, forcing us to look at the bruises we have sustained in these exact physical areas.
And the source text actually grounds this by looking back at the last time Chiron transited Taurus, which was between 1976 and 1984. It points to profound societal wounds surrounding resources being dragged into the light.
The parallels are striking when you examine the mechanics of history during that window. I mean, the U.S. experienced staggering economic trauma.
Fuck, the inflation was insane.
Right. Inflation hit 15%, interest rates skyrocketed, and that triggered the massive farm financial crisis. Hundreds of thousands of family farms defaulted because the fundamental structures of material security completely fractured under the weight of changing economic policies. The wound to the collective sense of survival was deep, and it was very physical.
Yeah. And the text also highlights the environmental reckonings of that era. We saw the exposure of the Love Canal chemical waste disaster in New York, the partial core meltdown at 3 Mile Island, and, the devastating long-term physical effects of Agent Orange on Vietnam veterans finally coming to light.
Yeah, a lot of heavy, heavy unearthing.
And, I do want to pause here for you listening. Our source text heavily frames these historical events as the physical toll of systemic greed and environmental destruction. We're simply reporting the text's perspective to give you the full picture of the source material. We're not endorsing any specific political or social viewpoints here, but the astrological premise, it stands regardless. Chiron in Taurus surfaces the poison in the soil, both literally and metaphorically.
That's a great distinction because the exposure itself is the core mechanism of the transit. When Chiron retrogrades, the hidden rot in the floorboards becomes impossible to ignore. The source suggests we are entering a similar 7-year cycle now, where our collective environmental and financial wounds will be laid bare so they can finally be treated.
But, hearing all of that makes Chiron sound like a harbinger of pure misery.
Huh. It can feel that way.
Right. If we're just digging up economic crises, environmental disasters, and personal trauma about our self-worth, aren't we just wallowing in the pain?
Yeah.
I feel like breaking things just to watch them shatter.
I get why it feels like that, but the pain isn't the objective. The diagnosis is. Chiron exposes the wound specifically so the infection can be treated. I mean, if you don't know the chemical waste is buried under the neighborhood, you can't evacuate the families and clean it up.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Right. And on a personal level for you listening, this retrograde isn't demanding you aggressively fix your bank account or your body image overnight. It's asking you to simply observe where you hoard, where you panic, and where you deny your basic needs. You smash the anchor stone, but you don't have to build the entire house today.
I think that grace period is vital, especially considering the environment we're operating in. Because if everyone around us is also having their deepest insecurities regarding money and safety triggered, the tension is going to be incredibly thick.
Oh, yeah. And the allegory captures this perfectly. Back at the bridge, an unexpected storm hits the valley, but it's not a rainstorm. It's a storm of human voices.
Which is almost worse.
Totally worse. Panic sets in. People start aggressively claiming ownership of the unfinished bridge. Loud, arrogant voices declare themselves leaders despite never lifting a single stone. And the work completely stops amidst all the accusations and the posturing.
And Mara watches this chaos and asks the old mason if the project is doomed. His response is brilliant. He tells her it will only be destroyed if everyone insists on being right. The project survives, he says, when someone chooses usefulness over victory.
I love that line. And that choice is the absolute manifestation of Thursday's defining transit, which is the Sun trine Saturn.
Yes. Let's talk about the trine.
So astrologically, a trine is a 120-degree angle between two celestial bodies. Because they're in elements that naturally support each other, a trine creates a frictionless flow of energy. So here, the vital, ego-driven energy of the sun forms a highly cooperative angle with Saturn, the planet of discipline, structure, and maturity.
Which is the exact antidote to the out-of-bounds Mars energy we started with. It's the shift from pride to dignity. I always think about it like the dynamic in a highly stressful corporate crisis.
Oh, give me an example.
So pride is the person shouting the loudest in the boardroom,
Right.
demanding respect and trying to control the narrative. But dignity is the person who quietly opens a spreadsheet, starts organizing the disaster, and actually solves the problem without caring who gets the credit.
That is exactly it. The source text phrases this beautifully. It says, pride needs to win the room. Dignity knows what it stands for, even when nobody is watching.
Wow, yes.
When the Sun and Saturn sync up this way, the need for external validation just drops. You stop fighting for the microphone and you start focusing on the actual work. You realize that practicing, revising, and taking responsibility for your actions is far more powerful than just winning an argument.
And when you make that shift, when you put the work above the ego, the cosmic weather actually rewards you. Because the second half of the week brings this massive relational upgrade.
We really need it by that point. We see a major shift as Venus enters Libra, bringing immense strength to our diplomacy, aesthetics, and our desire for equilibrium.
So things smooth out.
Exactly. Conversations that were volatile earlier in the week suddenly have this container of civility. And a few days later, Mercury moves into Leo, giving us the courage to speak warmly and boldly from the heart.
The story illustrates this beautifully when Mara watches two sculptors arguing over the design of a pillar for the bridge. Given the earlier chaos, she expects a screaming match. But instead, they walk around the stone together, taking turns carving.
Which is such a Libra approach.
Right. And by sunset, neither sculptor had won, the pillar had won. One of them notes that balance isn't when one voice disappears, but when both become part of the same sculpture.
That is the highest expression of Venus in Libra and Mercury in Leo working together. You have the Leo courage to express your truth, but you have the Libra grace to ensure the other person's truth is integrated, not overwritten. True peace doesn't require you to flatten yourself.
And the bridge itself becomes the ultimate judge of this balance. It reveals a magical property where it literally weighs what people carry, but it doesn't use a normal scale.
No, it's very different.
A merchant tries to cross with wagons full of gold, and the wheels just lock up. Another man drags trunks of priceless heirlooms and can't take a single step. Yet a young girl carrying just a loaf of bread skips across effortlessly.
Because the bridge measures the psychological weight of the cargo. Uniforms, weapons, impressive titles, they all become too heavy to move. But things like tools, books, kindness, and curiosity, they weigh almost nothing.
You know, the detail that struck me the hardest was the boxes labeled just in case.
Oh, yes. The heaviest ones.
They were the heaviest of all. And, I mean, think about the just in case boxes you're hauling around right now.
Yeah.
The defense mechanisms you bring into your relationships just in case you get rejected, the money you obsessively hoard just in case everything collapses, or, you know, the emotional distance you maintain just in case someone tries to control you.
We all have them.
We do. And the transits this week are giving you permission to set them down. They're simply too heavy for the bridge you're trying to cross.
But setting those boxes down requires profound vulnerability. Which brings us to the emotional climax of Mara's journey. The core thesis of the source material is that our wounds might explain our behavior, but they do not get to dictate our future.
And Mara confronts this in a hidden chamber beneath the bridge, filled with mirrors, each reflecting a different possible future based on what she chooses to carry. In one, she's perfectly safe but completely isolated. In another, she is incredibly wealthy but paralyzed by the fear of losing it.
Those are the bunker mentality.
Exactly. But then she finds the mirror showing an older version of herself. She is visibly scarred, her life is clearly imperfect, but she is laughing. She isn't hiding anymore. Beneath that mirror is the inscription, "Continue despite the scar."
The scar is proof that the healing has already happened. It's evidence of survival, not a prophecy of future pain. Mara realizes she has been consulting her old wounds for every major decision she has ever made.
Which so many of us do.
Right. And the text makes a brilliant point here. It says explanation is not permission. Yes, the trauma explains why you are cautious or why you settle, but it doesn't give you permission to forfeit your life.
That realization is the catalyst for her. She finally steps onto the incomplete bridge. On the final evening, the structure extends far over the chasm, but still stops in midair, and the crowd murmurs that it's a failure. But the old mason looks toward the horizon and says, "Some bridges are not built to reach tomorrow. They're built so tomorrow has somewhere to land."
Chills, honestly. And as the dawn mist clears, the opposite cliff emerges. It was there the entire time. The final span of the bridge settles into place without anyone adding another stone. The travelers didn't need to finish the bridge, they needed to become the people capable of walking across it.
You tear up the floorboards, you smash the old anchors, and you drop the heavy boxes not as a punishment, but to uncover the solid foundation that was there all along. The bridge finishes itself when you're ready.
The work you're doing this week, amidst all this chaotic astrological weather, is simply preparing yourself to arrive.
I love that. And we want to leave you with one final thought to explore on your own. We've talked a lot about the baggage of the past and the uncertainty of the future today, but think about the nature of these cosmic cycles and the divination tools like tarot we've been discussing.
Yeah, they're cyclical.
Right. If the planets continuously move in loops, exposing the same themes over and over, what if the universe isn't actually trying to predict your future at all? What if it's just testing your memory?
Oh, that's a great question.
When these intense transits hit, are you reacting to the reality in front of you today, or are you just remembering yesterday's wound and treating it like tomorrow's destiny? Keep golding, and we will see you next time on The Deep Dive.